Located just 125 kilometers from Colombo and in the southern extremity of the country lies a destination which has much more to offer the tourist than one would think. The town of Koggala is associated with a scenic beachfront and on the road between Galle and Mathura. Koggala is neatly positioned between the fabulous beaches of Unavatuna near Galle and Valigama, closer to Mathura. Koggala is important for several reasons, including the strategic position of an airbase used by the Sri Lanka Air Force, as well as the Board of Investment Free Trade Zone of Koggala. The Free Trade Zone has several large garment factories and is an important income generator for the locals. Koggala and the hamlet of Kathaluwa are adjacent, and fishing is the largest income generator along with tourism. However, the area offers much more in terms of sights and sounds. The museum and home of legendary author Martin Vikramasinghe, the Kathaluwa Ranvalla Purana Viharya, and the charming stilt fishermen of Kathaluwa are some of the attractions to be experienced. The area is dominated by the large Koggala Lake. This freshwater lagoon sits 3 meters above sea level. The water body is home to a diverse ecosystem of fauna and flora. The lake is an important part of the livelihoods of the fishermen in the area. However, the disappearance of the sandbar, which was at the mouth of the lagoon and adjoining the Kathaluwa Bridge, which regulated the salinity of the lagoon, has altered the ecosystem. A man-made defence is in place to control the effects of the sea. A boat ride to experience the surroundings will have you cruising past mangrove-buffered land with a range of hotels perched at vantage points. There are 7 islands in the lake. The Tambige-Dua is the smallest and is just a few meters across. The Margala Island is a collection of boulders positioned in a natural artistic arrangement. As in similar excursions, the fish spa and a cinnamon island visit is also available for those interested in experiencing these activities. You can also visit a Buddhist monastery and meditation retreat. The Badua Buddhist monastery has around a dozen meditation spaces for monks, all facing the tranquil lagoon, with the main temple premises in the centre. Another important island is the Madaldua, closest to the main road and bridge. This was made famous by the author Martin Vikramasinghe. One of Sri Lanka's greatest authors and intellectuals, Martin Vikramasinghe, was born in Koggala. His prolific literary work was used in film and translated into multiple languages. He died in 1976, and the trust which preserves his legacy runs the Martin Vikramasinghe Museum of Folk Culture. The expansive 4 hectares of gardens and buildings is a great way to spend the morning or evening. The house where he lived has been preserved and is the only remaining structure which survived the ravages of World War II. Currently, the original building, thought to be over 200 years old, has been preserved and extended to house a visual depiction of samples of his writing, photographs, books and memorabilia. In an effort to preserve the heritage and folk culture of the country, the Trust has added to the writer's collection of artefacts by integrating several items of folk art and crafts which have been a part of a rich tradition of the people of Sri Lanka. The collectibles, both small and large, are housed in 3 buildings adjacent to the gardens. This ever-growing collection, picturing a panorama of folk culture, is a valuable guide to techniques and a quaint way of rural folk life, now mostly obliterated by modern technology. The quiet ambience and and surroundings make it an ideal stop for those traversing the southern coast and in need of a respite from the traffic. The Kathaluwa Ranvalla Purana Viharya is an interesting and ancient temple which has a colourful past. The temple is unique in that it is actually now two adjacent temples along with the Ginivalla Viharya. The history of this location is mired in folklore, but suffice to mention that the two temples were created through a dispute between the Amarapura and Siam Nikaya sects of Buddhism, which saw a single property being divided. Currently, the temples are separated. The Ginivalla Purana Viharya has the dragon arch and the stupa along with a bodhi tree. However, it's the Ranvalla Purana temple which has history encapsulated in the image house, as well as a priceless collection of ancient artifacts. The temple is supposed to be one of only 4 octagonal image houses in Sri Lanka. The image house interior is crammed with a fascinating mix of Kandyan-era murals. While the traditional Buddhist Jataka tales and other stylistic depictions are there, the murals have some unique imagery found nowhere else. The bottom area is a contiguous strip depicting dance and procession. Within one section, we can see a set of European soldiers with guns participating in the procession. The ceiling has been painted with floral motifs, but here too a section has the signs of the zodiac. Finally, the parinibbana of the Buddha is depicted with unusual visual imagery, not customary to the murals of this era. The temple bore the brunt of a fire which swept through the main priest's house, which had many priceless manuscripts. Amazingly, these survived the fire. The temple also has the first printing press used for Buddhist publications. Donated by a king of Thailand, the press published the first Buddhist printed literature. Sri Lanka is extremely fortunate to have 5 of the 7 species of sea turtle found worldwide coming to the beaches in the southwest and south of the country. The turtle conservation efforts start from the coast of Koggala and go all the way to the deep south in Tangol. Koggala is no exception. During season, when the beaches become calmer, many turtle species migrate and breed. Several conservation centres around the Koggala area are there to mitigate the efforts of poaching. They care and help the hatchlings make it back to sea safely. The most iconic images of this part of the country are the stilt fishermen of Kathaluwa. This fishing technique started in the mid-20th century and is unique and found only in Sri Lanka within this 10-kilometre stretch of beach. The poles, about 3 to 4 meters long, are driven into the sand and used as a perch. The fishermen toil in the arduous midday sun just to catch a few small fish. The fisherfolk often forego this means of livelihood when the seas turn rough and the fishing poles remain abandoned. While the Koggala described in Martin Vikramasinghe's writings has changed over the last century, it is still a great destination to experience the variety of culture, history and people the southern coast has to offer. From the expansive Koggala Lake and its various views, the Martin Vikramasinghe Museum of Folk Culture, to the Kathaluwa Purana Viharya and the famed stilt fishermen of Kathaluwa, this is your ideal weekend excursion at the beaches.